that allow you to engage with other members of different civilizations. So by all means, anything that allows you to take up a more active role and meet us halfway and have an open invitation and a willingness to participate, a willingness to engage, a willingness to interact, will move the concept and the experience forward.
Okay. This person is asking, why should we attempt contact? Why work towards it? Where is this leading to? I mean, this person is saying they're excited about all that because sure, it's something interesting and fascinating to happen in our ordinary lives, but why should we work towards that? What happens next?
There are no shoulds. You don't have to work towards it. As we said in our monologue, you can move in that direction or you can choose not to. You can choose to do some of the actions in the steps that we are suggesting, or you can choose to do some of them, or you can choose to do none of them. It's completely up to you. So we would answer your question by asking you, why are you involved in these conversations with us at all then? Do you get some benefit out of the information that we share with you? Can you imagine how much more beneficial information from different members of the Interstellar Alliance may be in terms of you choosing to adapt some of that information into your life and expand your awareness of what's going on, not only on your own planet, but in the universe at large? So it's up to you to exercise your imagination and creativity in understanding how much more expansive your experience of life could be when allowing yourself to move forward toward the interaction with many different perspectives, many different kinds of beings and civilizations, in much the same way that you expand your reality by choosing different friends, different experiences on your own planet. So it's really up to you to decide if you're getting benefit out of the information we have been sharing with you for the past 40 of your years. Can you not imagine how much more beneficial it would be to start engaging with a multitude of such beings who have all sorts of different information that could benefit you as well? But again, it's up to you. So there are no shoulds. You have free reign and free will in determining what it is you're going to get out of making connections to members of the Interstellar Alliance.
Okay. If you don't do the social experiments, how will this decrease our chances of contact?
Well, it will not decrease them, but it will not increase them. So the idea is that these steps are designed specifically now, at this time, involving the actions that you are willing to take, specifically to increase the vibrational rate and align the vibrational rate toward more interaction with ETs that are part of the Interstellar Alliance. But again, it's up to you to determine what percentage you will be willing to take action on. And that will be directly representative of the percentage of the vibration that you will achieve to create alignment with the Interstellar Alliance. So let us say, for example, that over the course of the next year of your time, including step 1, there will be roughly 11 steps. And then going on into the next year after that, there will be more steps, perhaps of a different nature. But looking at it on an annual basis, a year-to-year basis of all the steps, let us say you are willing to do all 11 and every single aspect of them. Well, obviously, doing all of them would put you in a position to be closer in frequency to the idea of the Interstellar Alliance connection to whatever degree we have taken you there at that point. Whereas doing half the steps would bring you up to about 50% of the vibrational frequency necessary to experience where we are guiding you in your interactions with the Interstellar Alliance and so on and so forth. So you can look at it as a relatively representational one-to-one ratio of how many of the steps you do as representative of the percentage of the frequency you will achieve within you.
Fascinating. Are we truly ready for this experiment? So many people still live in fear of ETs because of the way we were programmed to believe they are dangerous and evil.
Asking if you're truly ready is a personal issue, subjective to each individual. By asking, are we truly ready, you may be implying that you're not. However, if you're asking the question on behalf of other people who may still be resonating on a vibration of fear, obviously they may not be ready. And this is why we give you free rein to decide how many of these steps and aspects of these steps and actions you are willing to take. It's up to you. So if you are not as ready as some others, most likely you will not take as many of the steps, not take as many of the actions. But again, we leave it up to you.
This person says they have only recently started trying to raise their vibration and get into alignment, but they feel mostly in their life that they've always been late to the game, so to speak. Will those who do not figure their stuff out in time be left behind during the vibrational shift of Earth? The analogy you'd given was being on different trains, and eventually you won't be able to switch what train you're on. Is it too late to make sure I'm on the right train?
No, it is not too late. And by asking this question and examining yourself, you have given the appearance of being on the train that will lead you in the direction of the kind of Earth that you prefer to experience. The idea is that it's not impossible for someone to switch from one train to another eventually, but it may be more challenging because you may divest yourself of the opportunities to do so. They may become less visible to you as opportunities to switch. But the idea is not that you're left behind, it's that you have made a choice and you will move forward in the direction of the choices that you have made. We would not frame it that you have been left behind because that implies that one choice is intrinsically better than another, when in fact the idea of going on a different train from the train you're on may be exactly what that person has chosen for the best path for themselves to experience. So we wouldn't frame it as being left behind. We would simply frame it as making the choice that is correct for you. Because again, remember, you will all have a chance in spirit to evaluate the choices you made in your life review, and you will apply that information to the next thing you will choose to do. So it's not about being left behind. It's about simply making a choice and being on the train you have chosen. We talked about the idea of what your people refer to as the prime directive, the non-interference directive. This is a primary condition of being a member of the Interstellar Alliance, is that we do not intervene or interfere in certain circumstances with developing civilizations. We can guide, we can share information when such a civilization reaches a certain point, if they reach that point of openness and willingness to receive such information. But beyond a certain point, we cannot impose ourselves upon that civilization until they themselves express a willingness to interact on a certain level with the Interstellar Alliance or its members. So that is one of the so-called laws or conditions that everyone in the Interstellar Alliance has agreed to. There aren't many rules or regulations that apply across the entire Interstellar Alliance, for each civilization is also given free rein to understand how to interact with the Interstellar Alliance on its own terms. Of course, there cannot be anything that is completely contradictory to the spirit of the Interstellar Alliance in its position of expanding, connecting, enhancing, guiding, assisting, serving all beings within the Interstellar Alliance and those civilizations that we deem appropriate to contact. But for the most part, there are very few rules and regulations, except that which as we have stated, allows us to serve the best interest of all concerned.
And also, you use the expression, the association of worlds. Is this association of worlds identical to what you now call the Interstellar Alliance?
Yes, there have been many interpretations for the images and energies and information that we send through the channel, different ways of interpreting it according to the vocabulary that may have existed within the channel at the time. As things get refined, as there is more familiarity between the channel and our energy, then there can be a different selection of words that might be more representative of the true spirit of this confederation, as you might refer to it. So the idea of the association of worlds is not inaccurate, but the term interstellar alliance, in that sense, seems more precise to focus on the idea of the alliance energy that we share between all the different civilizations, as opposed to simply something that may be considered a loose association. So over time, there may be slightly different interpretations, slightly different vocabulary that may be emphasized to express more precision about the concept. But interstellar alliance will do and is representative of the connections that all the civilizations have agreed to have.
And is that the same as the Galactic Federation?
In some senses, yes, although it must be understood that there is more than one galactic federation or interstellar alliance or association of worlds. So it isn't about the Galactic Federation. There are several federations that exist within the galaxy and within other galaxies. When there is an agreement between different federations, then there may be an opportunity for those alliances, for those associations, for those federations to merge and form a larger federation or association or alliance. But for the most part, when we refer to the Interstellar Alliance, we are specifically referring to the alliance and the groupings and the civilizations that are connected primarily to the ones we belong to.
Okay. And is there anything else you can tell us about this alliance in terms of, we have like movies like Star Wars, and they show these ideas of these federations, and how similar is that to the reality that you experience as the Interstellar Alliance?
We cannot at this time go down a specific list of details and items, but let us just say some of the representations on Earth of such alliances and federations are relatively similar or accurate as portrayals of what exists in our alliance, and some of the things are not accurate at all. There is a range of things that you have divined as being somewhat true, and there are certain elements to your representation of galactic federations in some of your cultural adaptations and science fiction presentations that have nothing at all to do with the way we actually function or operate.
Okay, looking forward to hearing more.
Yes, there will be more information coming up about this at some point in your near future.
Okay.
Now that we have begun to move forward in the idea of the countdown to contact and the Interstellar Alliance social experiment with the steps that we will deliver. And we remind you that in delivering these different steps, we have now begun with step 1 and will proceed to steps 2, 3, 4, and 5, and so on, that each of these steps is additive. It is not about completing a step and moving on to the next one and abandoning the step before it, but continuing to do step 1 while you're doing step 2, continuing to do steps 1 and 2 while you do step 3, and so on and so forth. And this will build up a vibrational energy, a frequency that will bring you closer, depending upon to what degree you participate in these steps, to the vibrational frequency of the Interstellar Alliance, should you so desire, to align with it.
Great. Do you have any experience in observing open contact movements on other planets? What would be the characteristics of such movements? What social groups are mostly drawn to it? And what do they do and how do they act?
Well, yes, of course, we observe the idea of open contact on different civilizations because I am a first contact specialist. This is what I do. And of course, I would follow through to the idea of all the experiences that move forward with the idea of open contact. Not every civilization chooses that. Some civilizations may start to move in that direction and then decide to turn around or turn back and not necessarily fulfill the idea of open contact. And of course, different civilizations have different ways of approaching these things. We would have to go into the differences in every civilization, the differences in their physicality, their differences in their mentality, the differences in their energy frequency, the differences in their cultures, in order to explain all the different ways that different cultures have of approaching the concept of first and open contact. So it would be a very complex subject in order to answer that question, a very detailed and complex answer that there isn't time to go into right now. We will, over time, as you become more familiar with the protocols and procedures of the Interstellar Alliance, be able to share some of the experiences that have happened in other civilizations, what groups are involved, how they're involved, and what the cultural differences are that allow them to experience open contact as opposed to other civilizations. But we will not go deeply into that at this time.